Hi, this is Jolynn from WonHeart TV today, and I have a question for y'all for our interviewee today. Can any of you at all, I know I have trouble, balance yourself on one foot with your eyes closed? Ha! That's a difficult thing. I know it is. I have a guest here who's going to help us with a little balance, a little fitness. I think all around talk about even let's dive into some dance, why it's so beneficial to us and why we need it right now. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you.
Teresa, how are you today?
I'm great and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for
Beautiful.
inviting me.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I am really happy to have you, and I've been looking forward to this because One Heart is about starting a change reaction, Teresa, and what that means is I'm trying to spark people into balancing themselves and getting themselves healthy because we're dealing with some things, and it's always good to figure that out. Um,
Mhm.
and it looks like you've been in this business of dance and fitness for 30 years. Can you share a little bit about yourself with the folks, please?
Sure. Happy to do that. Well, I wanted to dance my whole life. I I wanted to dance from the time I was like 6 years old. I always loved movement, and there were really no dance studios in Lompoc when we moved here. And I eventually took a little bit of dance, but it was years later, actually after high school, that I really got the bug.
Hmm.
And yeah. So I started late, but I did improve and get a lot better by taking a lot of classes, a lot of study. And I eventually moved to Los Angeles to study dance and audition and things like that. But what I want to share with people is when I was a kid, I would get in trouble a little bit in school because I couldn't sit still.
Mm.
And then as a teenager, I had those highs and lows that you tend to have. And what I found is when I started dancing, it was like the best thing ever for me because it evened out my moods. If I was in a bad mood, I would leave not even remembering why or why I was upset. And that's the key. That's the thing with exercise is that it all those things that are going wrong kind of fade into the distance when you exercise and get your heart rate up and do something that you enjoy.
Hmm.
So I've always loved dance and I love fitness as well, but for dance you're always trying to meet that standard and you never quite do. So that's exciting to me to always be striving to be better. And of course, moving to music. For me, that's the key. It makes it fun. And
What?
that's probably what everyone should do is find something that they enjoy that is fun. It shouldn't be punishing. Exercise is not punishment.
No, no, that's so true. Oh, you're talking to the choir here. Being a musician.
Oh yeah.
I used to always kind of boast, where would dancers be without us musicians? But I wanted to pull up a video and I just couldn't get the share button. But the first thing was drums. It started with a
Mm.
drum beat, and I know. Oh my goodness, when you see tribes in Africa moving to beats, you're like, you've got to move.
Oh yeah. And
You
I
just
love percussion. Love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, well, kind of a trifold here I kind of mentioned, and that is um, one of the things that I know is there's something called the core. I know a little bit about it, but it seems very important in dance. Could you explain the core and why? Why would that be?
The core is really important. And what dancers call it is their center. So you start to begin to think a little bit deeper about your core and your ab muscles and it helps you to center for turns, which is really critical. And some people just naturally get that and then some people take longer, but the core for everyday people that aren't dancers is really critical. And what I've found over the years is a lot of people think crunches are really the thing, and that exercise is actually very superficial because it works the muscles right in the front as your head comes up, your rectus abdominis, those muscles that you see in the six pack on Muscle and Fitness magazine or whatever. That's what you see, but they're obviously not very deep. So they're right on the surface. And it's really more important to work the deeper muscles that are going to wrap around and support the back, because a lot
Yeah.
of people have lower back problems. So what I do in my classes is I focus on, and that's your waistline muscles. They go down and up, and that's rotation. Okay, so rotation is what works the obliques. And then the other muscle that a lot of people don't really know about is the transverse abdominis. And that's like your girdle muscle. So
Hmm.
that wraps around to the lower back. And there are two ways that you can engage that transverse abdominis: pulling the navel back towards the spine and forced exhalation. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And actually, there is supposed to be a co-contraction of the PC muscles. So you're getting all that, which is very deep. And if you train the transverse abdominis, after a while, you don't have to really pull in when you're standing it for a picture or something. It just naturally, right, it becomes stronger, just like any other muscle. So that's what I would tell people. And the other thing that people think with the core or ab exercises is you can do it every day. There's that myth that's going around. If you work a muscle to failure, you need to take a break. You need to let those little tiny tears recover. So it's more isn't better, quality is better.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I've heard the core as the center in yoga. Is it similar
Mhm.
with, I would imagine stretching before you dance is a big one because it is for voice too. Stretching the muscle, getting it warmed up. Uh, but
Yes.
but the core in yoga is similar or different?
Well, actually, I've been taking a lot of yoga, and they are incorporating that, talking about the core and bracing.
Hmm.
Bracing in Pilates, we used to talk about drawing the navel back towards the spine and scooping, but now they use the term bracing, which means you're bracing as if somebody's going to punch you in the stomach or something like that. And that's definitely because yoga can be really intense when you're going into, downward facing dog, upward facing dog. You go through a plank position, and you definitely want to engage and not let gravity press down on that lower back like it does, where you get that really exaggerated curve. That's where you can run into problems. So bracing, using your core when you're lifting things, when you're moving furniture, if you can remember to do that. And I tell people when it starts to get tough, force that exhalation, which will get that transverse abdominis to kick in, which is like your natural girdle.
Wow, that's
Mm-hmm.
incredible. I watched this wonderful video as to why dance and in general the arts just aren't revered as much as science. Have you found that? And have you heard the same thing as like, you know, the arts, we don't need them. Throw them out with the bathwater. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
any thoughts on that about the importance of the arts, dance, everything?
Oh, I think it's so important because it gets children engaged. That's one thing. They love drawing, and anything that's going to get a student engaged is important. So I noticed that the schools in Santa Maria are bringing artists in to teach art as a supplemental thing because it was kind of taken out of the curriculum. And dance, I actually did go into the schools for quite a few years through Children's Creative Project and taught dance to kids. And sometimes they were really young, so it was just basically movement and kind of teaching them where they are in space, that kinesthetic awareness.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it benefits them. It's movement. They need to move. We all need to move. But what I find with dance is that it's this art form. So it's very pleasing to be creating these shapes with your body. And then, like I said before, moving to music. It's inspiring. I think it motivates people. And that's really how I got into teaching fitness, is through dance. Is I started teaching basic fitness classes, kind of like jazzercise. And that's my thing, is moving to music. So if I had to go get on a piece of equipment, I wouldn't enjoy it as much
Right.
as moving to music.
Right, right. I know I worked for the Creative Children's Project
Hmm.
as well, and
Hmm.
I'm glad to see that. But I think we met last year with Gail McNeely's
Yes, we
program, Arts
did.
Alive, here in Santa
Hmm.
Maria. That's where I met
Yes.
you.
Yes.
I
And I
saw you on
remember, yeah.
Facebook. I had to grab you for an interview, and you were so adaptable. Thank you so much.
You're
It
welcome.
is it's so important for the kids to have this early,
Hmm.
because I'm a big proponent that There was a book I read years ago called The Artist Way, and she had you do, for people who didn't know what they liked, couldn't remember
Hmm.
as a child, it was a way to bring it out, a book to bring out your your favorite creativity, music, dance, art, whatever it was. And it ended up, she said, why wouldn't we be creative? We were all created. Loved that phrase. Again, going back to, the imagination lies. I have to share a quick little story. I had a friend of mine take me to Allan Hancock College. It looks like you used to teach there as well, or
Yes, I
still do.
did. Uh-huh.
And they have the Spectrum, the dance group there. And
Yes, I performed in that. Yeah.
yeah, it's a phenomenal show where the students present their or showcase their dances. Well, my friend's sister was doing something, and it was about the relationship with her father. I'll tell you,
Mm,
it was absolutely breathtaking. It wasn't an easy journey, with her dad. And
uh-huh.
you could, Teresa, you could see it. I still I'm getting shivers right
Yeah,
now.
I did too. Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
yes, art can be cathartic for people, and I've seen dances like that. Maybe I even went to that show. But yeah, when it's really got that depth, that organic feel to it, where it tells a story, it
right.
can be really moving.
Yeah, and there seems to be a language when you have two people because like a band, I can only reference it to that, and I played in many. The longer you play with someone, probably the longer you dance with someone, you get a connection that almost. Do you have that in dance where
Oh,
you're
yes.
headed? Can
Especially if you have a good partner. You have to trust your partner, especially if they're going to be doing lifts and things like that. But yeah, and some people just have it. They just have that chemistry initially. You have to allow yourself to be a bit vulnerable to do that. You can't be guarded at all. But the end result is spectacular, and it's really something for the audience to see too. If they can feel that and
yeah.
really feel that emotion, that's great. That's what you want.
Yeah, yeah, you do. Yeah, you know, I used to go watch my little sister take dance. I used to have to go pick her up, and I'd just sit in there, and she was so adorable taking the tap dancing. She's younger and just tapping away, and I kind of watched her as she grew up enjoying dance and the physical part of it, the fitness part of it. How would you equate that with today and what's going on with really unhealthy people from eating processed foods and their high blood pressure? I mean, dance. It's got to be a great fitness tool.
Yes, it is. What I've found is that it seems like people don't have the time
Oh,
to fit these things in. And the other thing I've noticed with children who potentially have the time, after school, if they have that interest to do something, a lot of them are really engaged in video games and things like that where they're sitting. And there is a guideline for that. 2 hours or less of screen time. So that includes video games, TV, computer, etc. Most children are exceeding that, and that is not healthy. We know that sitting is now, they say, the equivalent of smoking years ago. So
oh,
if you sit a lot, and I used to think that going and teaching fitness, if I sat all day, that was great, that was going to cancel it out. There were studies done, and it was, I think, 2012 it came out, that even if you exercise, it does not protect you. So if you have a job or something where you have to sit a lot, it's good to get up, move around, do squats before you sit down, those kinds of things. And that's something, with me going to school to be a teacher, I think about the kids sitting all day. And really, it's better to move them around, have them stand, sit on a resistable, and a lot of teachers are doing that because
good.
sitting isn't a great thing. So what I found from the time we were younger, I was always outside moving. I was playing. My mom had to call me in to eat, that kind of thing. Kids aren't really doing that anymore. And we are seeing it's not just that, it's many things. Like you said, the processed food, the serving sizes. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but our serving sizes are so huge. And I try to share, a meal with someone, or take half away and bring it home for later, that kind of thing, because the portion sizes are really too large.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
No, it does.
Okay.
No, it does. I am a big proponent. I will dance with my dog.
Mm-hmm.
I admit that. I'll put on some music,
Oh, yeah.
got some dinner
Uh-huh.
simmering on the stove, and I don't know,
And
move.
that's how people can fit it into their daily life. If they like to dance, I'll put music on, the music that I like, and I'll dance, when I'm in the kitchen like you, or when I'm getting ready to go out. It's just exciting, it's fun, it's uplifting. And that's one thing people can fit it in. They don't have to go to a gym.
Hmm.
If they like to dance, they can do that.
Right. Right. You know, that brings me to a couple of things here. I saw a post when I put you on Facebook. A lot of folks knew you and were like
Mhm.
rallying for you today, and I loved it. And we've talked about the young people. Yes, indeed, we need to get them moving in their bodies and experiencing that spatial part of the brain. How about the older folks? Should they start with ballroom dancing? I think there's something that was at Madonna Inn, if I recall. That's local, where they can. Is that an
Well,
easier dance for older people, or what would you suggest?
well, line dancing. Line dancing is
Oh,
fun, super simple. The main thing right now, of course, is finding a way to do it social distancing. Well, you can do that if you go to a club that has a big dance floor. You can stay away from people, or you can just put YouTube videos on and learn how to do these dances. There are a lot of fun dances on YouTube, and they break it down. So you
right.
could do it at home to learn. So find a style that you like. And if you are the type of person that likes country western music, then it probably would be, those kind of line
Right.
dances. There are so many things, there's Latin dance, and actually when I taught Zumba Gold as well, which is geared towards people who are coming back from injury or maybe want to start more slowly.
Mm.
So it's slower pace, a little bit simplified. There are also classes in the water, and that supports you. That's a great place to start. And if you have any kind of injury going into the water, you want to go into about chest deep to do the exercises. It supports you, but the water also provides resistance. And I can tell you, it feels so good to exercise in the
Oh,
water. Like if you can't run on a hard surface, you go into a water class or do it on your own, and it feels fabulous.
I'm reflecting back that that might even be really good for the people that have the strokes, and they do easy stuff to get the flow back, right? Using water. Wow, that would
Oh
be
yes.
great.
And you don't need any tools. You use
Right.
the water as resistance. And if you take a class at a gym, they usually have the tools for you.
Right.
So down the road, that's something.
Right. Right. Um, uh, I've got to, I got to, it was in your bio, so I've seen these dancers many times, belly dancers, huh? So tell me about that, sister. What you doing there? That's
Well,
a provocative dance to me, you know?
I never
Woo.
thought I would be taking belly dance classes, but I went to a convention. I go to fitness conventions every year and I go to lectures and I try to see things that are different. And one year, quite some time ago, there was a workout called Sharkey, the belly dance workout.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to that class. It was probably the best class of the whole convention.
Mm.
And I actually went and got trained. I went to San Francisco and got trained and certified in that method and started teaching it. So that's kind of where I got interested in it, because what they do with this kind of a class, the Sharkey, the belly dance workout, is they take the moves, but they combine them so that it's more of a workout. So there's repetition, and you're almost always moving. And I was sweating at that class at the convention. So I was hooked. and I got certified, but then I wanted to delve a little bit deeper. So I started going to classes. And there's a woman over in San Ynez named Judine who taught classes down in Santa Barbara at UCSB. Cris, Belly Dance Land of Cris, she teaches, and I also took from a woman named Alexandra King. And you can look her up, any of these artists on YouTube, and fabulous, just fabulous. And one of my favorites, just so you know, was Drum Solo, because it's percussion.
Wow.
And it's fast and it's exciting. So that's kind of how I got into it. And now that I like it, I want to do more. I want to become proficient. And of course, they always want you to perform. So we'll see about that.
Well, it's got to keep you young.
It really works the core. There are a
Yeah.
lot of isolations that work the obliques. And it's a lot about body control to be
Mm.
able to do. You see these belly dancers doing these rolls and things like that. It's not just innate. It's not easy. You have to practice, practice, practice to be really good at it. So
That's true. And they make that look so
they
easy.
do. They do. I love
You
watching
know,
it.
I'm going to have a little more respect when I see those gals out there because, I think of doing a somersault now and I'm like, I don't know, not so much,
Yeah,
because,
definitely. And you have to keep the flexibility because there is that floor work,
right.
hypermobility. So, but anybody can do it at any age. You just modify what works for you. And teachers are really accepting of that these days. It's not like old school ballet where they had the stick and you had to do everything just right.
You will do it.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They had that for piano too.
Oh
The
yeah. My
knuckles.
grandmother taught piano and she was like that.
Oh no. Well, I'm glad to say that we've grown up and we don't do that kind of stuff as
I know.
teachers.
It's good to be accepting of students so they'll continue
Right. Right, because everybody learns at a different pace and
differently, different styles. They might be visual, those kind of things, kinesthetic. So you kind of want to try to accommodate everyone, really.
so you're a busy gal. Yesterday I was trying to get you hooked in, but you're teaching presently. Where are you teaching at?
I am actually teaching distance learning for summer school.
Wow.
My school is Miller, and the grade that I have just finished kindergarten. And of course, they, didn't have the whole year in the classroom. So we are meeting via Zoom, and they're getting better each day at coming on. And, there's the technology involved that sometimes, as you know, has little
Frustrating.
glitches.
Yeah.
So I'm happy though that I am doing it and learning how to present that way because it may be happening in the school year and in school years in the future. So it's just good to be able to do that. And yes, so that's what I'm doing. I'm teaching them just working through the alphabet and sounds, letter sounds, writing sentences, things like that. And they're adorable.
They are. They've got, that's probably the best part of the whole dance show. Sometimes those little ones coming out in their tutus and they're looking at each other and they have no idea. And one goes this way, one goes that way. Ah, takes you back, but they're doing it. They're doing it.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
That's the most important thing. Do you have any upcoming things yourself that you have that you do yourself, or you mostly work for the schools and different projects, right?
Right now, and I'm just waiting for the gym to open up again, and of course, applying at different places and when it's safe. And I am contemplating maybe doing a Pilates class via Zoom because it's
Ooh.
just been so long that we've been out and they're lost. They don't know what to do without their classes. So I'm hoping to do that because I do kind of miss teaching Pilates. I taught that for, I think, 17 years.
Wow.
And that's a great core workout. And I adapt it to what is pertinent today because a lot of people have the lower back problems. Some people have osteoporosis, and really doing crunches and curl ups is kind of hard on those kind of uh, things like osteoporosis, osteopenia. So I try to adapt it to what people can do and offer, of course, a variety of exercises. So that's what's upcoming. And of course, I always go to conventions to learn what's new. And that's important for people to know whenever you do exercise, just make sure you're going to a reliable source that's going to give you good information. I have my go-tos, and they're usually not Pop Sugar Fitness or something like that, but ACSM, ACE, American Council on Exercise. and ask your instructor, are you certified? Because they shouldn't mind you asking that. They should be happy to let you know.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because you can really hurt yourself, you know, and
You can, and if you don't know what to do. And the other thing is, I see people coming into a gym and saying, okay, I'm going to get fit right away. And they've been out for 15 years from high school or whatever. And they think, okay, I'm going to do every class and I'm going to work out for 3 hours. And I try to tell them it's okay to just come in and do 20 minutes and be good.
right,
Because what will ultimately happen is if they do too much, they don't allow that recovery, they're not going to feel good. And then they're not, just psychologically, your body's going to say, oh, I don't want to do this. It feels horrible. A little bit, it's okay to
right,
build. Mhm.
right. Well, whenever I've gone on a cruise, I have to admit that I always take the dance classes because I think it's fun. It stretches my brain. You know, I may not be the best dancer, but I sure have a lot of fun.
And
I
that's the
sure have a
thing.
lot of fun.
It doesn't matter if it's perfect, it's having fun, enjoying what you're doing, and moving.
One time it was over Halloween. I think I was on some kind of, I don't know, trip, and they were they were teaching us how to do Michael Jackson's Thriller, you know. And I remember this, the mummies. Dun, dun,
Oh,
dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, you know, and
Yes.
that was such a fun part, you know, to do.
Oh, yeah. And
But the-
kids love that too. I actually did choreograph uh, a dance for kids to Thriller and
Yeah,
also to Bad. And they know the song, so they love
right.
it.
I know it's really a treasure, and it takes me back because you know I grew up with that music. Bless his soul. Um,
Mhm.
what this has been a delightful talk. I mean, I really had no idea where we were going to go with this, but you brought up the children. That's so important. We've got the older folks can keep moving in water. That was a phenomenal idea. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
things I don't think of, but that is dance in water. You know.
Oh, and they do have dance. They have Zumba in the water. And so there's such a variety that people can choose something that they like and they enjoy, and they're more apt to stick with it. And also, I think if you have a workout partner, somebody who will go with you.
Right. You know, I kind of said that we'd talk about a few things, and one of it is at the end, you know, finding balance, of course, through
Hmm.
dance, but finding happiness. Can you share through your dance experiences a happy story or happiness or what you think in terms of that?
I
Right.
think for me, what makes me happy is, and this happens every once in a while, for everybody, I would go to a class and something would just not be clicking
Mm,
and it would be frustrating. But the next class I would come in and it's like it had gotten into my muscles, my body understood what I was supposed to do, and then it was successful. So I started remembering that hey, if it doesn't work today, maybe next time it will, and with practice it'll just get better and better and better. So for me, and like I said, if I was in a bad mood or angry or whatever, I go to a dance class or I go to an exercise class and
mm.
it's all gone. It just dissipates. You can't even remember what it was you were upset about because you're focused on the movement.
Right. Wow, you brought it back to being in the moment. They talk about that
Absolutely.
so much with spiritual practices. I've been an ongoing student in that department, and
Yes.
I know that when I drop in playing music, I'm gone. Any worries out, that right there would give you the
Focus.
happiness with dance.
And I think in everyday life, what you're talking about, what I'm talking about, I would encourage people to put the cell phone down when they're outside walking and just take in what they're seeing because that will elevate your mood. You've probably heard of forest bathing, which sounds odd, but it's going into the forest and just taking it in, the smells, the sounds, and it has a way of calming you. And if we could just try that, I know it's hard because we're in habits, but it will be uplifting. And we need that right now
Yeah.
more than ever.
I,
Turn that TV off.
I'd even suggest, and here I am saying this, but take your buds out, even when you're walking in nature. Just look at the dance that nature has, right? Like a bee fluttering in and out of a flower and just staying there for that moment. Just watch it, man. Or the butterfly that swoops over your head and you're like,
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
the dance of nature.
Yes, and hawks. I watch hawks, and I always think if I see a few hawks, it's going to be a good day, you know. And lizards and quail, and that's what you miss out on if you're not looking for it, you know.
Present and
Yeah,
just being in the
absolutely.
moment and definitely in dance. Well, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. You know, here at One Heart TV, we're here about starting a change reaction. If this one spoke to you, I'm going to put some her information in so that you can get a hold of her where she might be teaching her next class. I don't
Hmm.
know. You never know as things open up. I'm sure they will. And otherwise, peace, love to you all. Please subscribe on One Heart TV, that's YouTube station, or go to oneheartinfo.org and you can see all the interviews I've done with my beloved, beautiful, feminine energy women. Whoo wee, it's been slam packed and I'm not stopping. I've got more coming down the way. Thank you
Great.
again, Teresa. It was so
Thank
much.
you for
Is it,
having me.
is it McIntyre? Is that how you say it?
McIntyre. Uh-huh.
Teresa, thank you again. Be
You're
well.
welcome.
And I'm changing that. I know you're well. Stay happy. All right, y'all. Peace, love. I'm out. This is Jolene. Bye bye.